My dog's sitting here beside me. She's in a great mood. So when everybody's in a great mood, Mike, how can you not be happy?
Absolutely. All right. Well, it's a little 2:06 our time. Why don't we get going on this content? I think we're going to switch over the PowerPoint to you, Rick, as well. And while we're doing that, I guess the first question we have is, why do we need hotlines, and why is this so important to use? And so, Craig, when you start running these direct response marketing campaigns and ads, Rick, you're going to get a ton of leads. And, some qualified, some not. And I guess the big question is, who's going to answer them all, right? And which kind of leads in, why you need a hotline and really take control of your life. So why don't you add on to why everyone that's calling needs a hotline and why it's so important?
Well, at the Super Conference, we talked a lot about some key systems that need to be evident in a successful agent's business. So leverage comes to my mind. So Craig talked a lot about leveraging our technology to make our job easier. So in terms of the hotline technology, that fits into box number 2 of the Quantum Leap system. And the purpose of box number 2 is to sort and sift through the leads that we generate as a result of those direct response marketing pieces that we create, either through the ad generator or running our listings or even running a USP-driven ad. We drive traffic to our technology so we can sift and sort through the leads. And, with the hotline, Mike, the whole purpose of the hotline is to drive them to it, get them to dial the number, get them to listen to a pre-recorded script or a message that's very similar in nature to what we would say if we were taking the call live. But sometimes, because of the volume of leads and the volume of lead generation that we're doing, we can't take all the calls live. So we use technology. We leverage our lead generation with the right technology, and we gather those leads together, we nurture them, and we generate requests over and over and over again so that we can follow up with them at our convenience. It's ingenious. This whole hotline technology is absolutely ingenious because it sets us up so we can have a normal day and we can check our messages later in the day when they've come in. So I've always been a huge fan, a huge proponent of the hotline, Mike, just because it works so well.
Okay, well, let's get into the benefits of the hotline to the prospect as well as the agent. Right? Do you want to go through that quickly?
Well, sure, Mike. You take the lead here, and I'll throw some ideas in as we go through this.
Well, there's actually 3 benefits. There's many more, but the main 3 to the prospect is that it's easy and non-threatening to get the information from the agent. So make it easy and non-threatening. Call in an 800 number. Immediately, 24/7, around the clock work, and where you're generating leads and going in a non-threatening way, getting that information to your buyer seller prospects. Also, a big benefit for sellers because you're going to generate 3 times the number of calls on the seller's property. We've tested this, proven this through stats, and it is a big benefit to them.
Right. I like the point you make, Mike, about the non-threatening means that a prospect can use to get the offer that we've made. So, as we're learning through the Quantum Leap system with Craig as our coach, the one thing we've learned and established is that the typical prospect initially isn't looking to a realtor to be the solution to their problem. They're simply on a fact-finding mission. They're looking for answers to their real estate queries, whether they're buyers or they're sellers. And if we set ourselves up as that gatekeeper for the information, we've learned over the years that we simply diminish the return. And that's because we're just not the most loved breed in town. But like you said earlier, Mike, if we can set up this technology so that it's a less threatening way for the prospect to call in, listen to a pre-recorded quick message, and obtain what it is they're looking for, we generate 2, 3, 4 times as many calls simply because they don't feel threatened. So this is a key component in generating leads using the direct response marketing methods that we're teaching you for sure.
Now, the benefits of the agent, we kind of touched on at the beginning about giving structure to your life. As you know, Rick, you get many calls that are generated through all the ads in the campaign that Craig recommends. Why don't you go through how it gives you structure
sure.
to your life, rather than take every call personally yourself, or actually have them go to your office where the people on the floor are waiting.
Right.
Tell us how that is better for you.
Well, I mean, I guess we have some choices. We can run an ad, and we can put in our direct number to our desk. We can put in our cell phone number. We can put in our number at home if we're very careful about where those calls are going. Or we can put a system together that does everything we would normally do and then generates the lead, and that's the hotline. So I don't want to be a slave to my cell phone. I mean, I don't really want to be talking to people, talking to leads when I'm driving down the freeway, or when I'm sitting at the game watching my son play, or I'm at my daughter's dance recital, or I'm out for a date with my wife on Friday or Saturday. I just don't want my phone to ring when I'm doing that. So the hotline enables me to have structure in my day. It takes the calls, it gathers the calls, it nurtures the calls, it makes the offer that I made in my marketing piece, and it allows the prospect to sit there in priority sequence and for me to follow up at a different time. And that's, for me, that's very important. That's structure to my day. Now, the reverse of that is me personally taking all these calls on my cell phone. You know, in a hot market with lots of marketing running that features my hotline in a 4-digit code, my phone would be ringing 20, 30 times a day. And it's just not convenient for me to take 20, 30 calls a day on my cell phone. So yeah, that whole point about structure is very, very important. The other thing, Mike, we want to remember is the hotline makes the perfect presentation every time it's answered. So, you know, there's days when I just don't feel like talking on the phone. I might not be feeling well. I might be distracted. I might be doing something with somebody else, and my phone rings, and I don't make the perfect presentation. The hotline, perfect presentation every single time. It works 24/7. It can replace 3.5 assistants in my office, and that's the truth, 3.5 assistants working 24/7 for whatever we pay for the hotline, $49 a month. So, you know what, Mike? In terms of structure for my business, it's absolutely awesome.
Cool. And just to add, it also has a great ability to really screen out all the poorly qualified and unmotivated tire kickers as well, and time wasters, because that's a huge advantage and benefit where you have the now business and the future business and the tire kickers, right? You really know how to leverage your time and who to call first.
Yep, for sure.
So the hotline does all.
Sifting and sorting is a big part of our script presentation, and everybody had heard Craig talk about that at the Super Conference and came and talked to me later. Loved that. You know, if in your script you can simply reference a couple of different scenarios that allow us to sift through the customers, boy, that's fantastic as well. So the example would be, if you're thinking of buying a home between now and in the next 3 months, please ask for report number 1. If you're thinking about buying a home later on this year, please ask for report number 2. Well, same report, but the request alone just sets our prospects up as to when we should call them and who we should talk to first. So the sifting and sorting is fantastic.
Cool. Okay, let's get into the second question. If you can flip the screen, Rick, I think you have control of it now. Okay, so we have two separate hotline systems. We have the information line and the UFP property tree line, which we've just recently mobile enhanced, where the information line is more of a less branded line that advertises editorial style ads and service classified ads. It's basically the strategy is to fly under the prospect's radar. And again, we mentioned that you get three times more amount of leads because they're really not talking to anyone. And then we have the USP property tree, which really promotes your branded advertising, works with all the USP ads and property ads. And And that basically is reverse. It flies into the prospect's radar. So, Rick, why don't you kind of just, what we're going to show is just show the call flow of the prospect, how this all works. And why don't you just take us through both the information line and the USP property tree, and just go through that call flow and how they differ in strategies.
Okay, so the information line, the less branded version of the hotline, which by the way comes with the pre-recorded script library, has been designed to work in conjunction with, like Mike said, the service classified ads, the editorial ads, those ads that we would create from the less branded perspective. So the ad doesn't feature a picture of the agent, it doesn't feature your USP, it simply offers something to the prospect. Free list of distressed, foreclosure, and abandoned properties. Free list of homes available with basement suites. Free over-the-net home evaluation, those kinds of things. All right. So the script to use for those basic ads, the basic, editorial, display, classified, and maybe banner ads, is the one we would use that's attached to the information line. So you run the ad, you create an awareness of the solution to the problem, which is offered by making the call to the prospect. And when they call, they hear the very basic information. Thank you for calling the real estate information line. Please key in the 4-digit ID code now. So the prospect keys it into the phone, the script is played, an offer is made, and a call to action to leave contact information behind in the message is made in the script, and the lead is generated. Okay, very basic. Now, at this point in time, the caller is done. They've keyed in the 4-digit code, and they can't go beyond that. They will leave the message. Sometimes you'll see that a prospect calls in and doesn't leave a message, then calls in again, re-listens to the script so it's clear in their mind, and then they leave the message. Sometimes they call 2 or 3 times before they actually leave the message, and the system was designed for that. So let's say you're running the editorial ad. The 11 inspection traps to avoid before listing your home for sale. There's great copy in the ad. It looks like an article in the paper, and the second last paragraph tells the reader how to order the special report. Okay, call this number, kick in the 4-digit ID code, you'll hear a compelling script, and then in the script we tell the prospect what to do, what to trade with us to get the report. Okay, that's the information line. That's what the information line was designed to do. Now, the USP property tree is somewhat different in format, although we're trying to create the same outcome with the prospect. So, you've got a half a dozen listings. You've taken a half-size page in the real estate newspaper or maybe your Homes and Lands magazine, and you've got your listings in the ad. Each listing has a reference to the 1-800 number and the specific 4-digit ID code that goes with that property in that particular publication. And the prospect sees your ad. They like the look of the house. You've got the neighborhood where this house is in your ad, and they want a little bit more information. You've teased them with some emotional descriptors in your property caption, so they call. And the difference between the intro and the USP property tree and the intro in the information line is the USP property tree is a branded information. So you introduce yourself. And because we call it the USP property tree, the first thing that happens is the prospect gets to hear a commercial about some of the USPs that you might be running in your business. For example, you might say, if you'd like some more information about my guaranteed sale program, where I promise to get your home sold in 29 days or buy it myself, please press button number 1. If you're calling about information on our distressed sales service, where we promise to send you every distressed property in the neighborhood, please press button number 2, and so on and so forth. 9 pre-recorded USPs can be programmed in to the USP property tree. Or at the end of the introduction, just like we did with the information line, we simply say, please key in the 4-digit ID code that corresponds with the property in my ad. And they key in that 4-digit code. They listen to the property script, which we've given you some direction on writing. They ask for the feature sheet on the property, and then the lead gets generated. Now, in conjunction with the USP property tree, they can also use what we call the zero out. And the zero out can be used at any time, where they press 0 on their phone and they're immediately connected to a phone number that you've pre-programmed into the system. And our most successful members have that 0 out going right to their cell phone. So they can get into an immediate, meaningful conversation with that prospect and create that face-to-face meeting if they are worthy. So there is a difference between the two. One of them's branded, one of them's less branded. One of them is real basic but generates the lead because the ad is also real basic. The other one, the USP property tree, is a little bit more involved in the format. You give options for the USP commercial at the beginning, and because it's a tree format, the prospect who's looking at your listing ad, they can go through different properties in the ad on one call. So they might have property 4, 5, 6, 7. They might have 4, 5, 6, 8, 4, 5, 6, 9. They're going to listen to those property scripts. We're going to make a compelling offer at the end of each one. We're going to give them the option to press 0 if they'd like the up-to-date price on this property, and then to get a fully loaded, full-color feature sheet on this property. We'll tell them what information to leave behind. It's a trading game. When I send a feature sheet to a prospect, it's because they were willing to trade me some information. And I like 5 things: name, address, 2 phone numbers, and an email. I don't always get that, but those are the 5 things I like to trade for information. So there's the difference, Mike, as you and Craig set this up in the 2 different hotlines.
Cool. And just to add to that, every lead that comes through could also be notified right to your cell phone, or text it to you, or email you as well with the full lead, the actual voice message, and the information about that lead as well. Cool.
Right.
Right.
So there's
you're going to show some samples. Good.
Yeah, there's a couple of examples of what you could do with the basic information line. I shouldn't use the word basic. With the
right.
information line format versus the USP property format. One isn't basic. It's just 2 different formats. So for these 2 ads, Ocean View Estates and Westgate Golf, I would run these ads and I would drive traffic, because they're less branded, I would drive traffic to my information line. And there's a pre-recorded script in the library that I can flip on whenever I want to use those 2 campaigns. Same thing with the editorial ads. Sorry, Mike, go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to say, for some of the new agents, Rick, just coming on that, just getting going in the real estate business, and they don't have any listings, would this be the best thing to start? Is the less branded approach?
Absolutely. So less branded marketing gets us leads 3 to 1. Yeah. It gets us contacts into our technology, 2, 3, 4 to 1 over the branded. If you take to heart what Craig is teaching you, if we can just get you out of the way, if we can just remove you as the gatekeeper to the real estate information that prospects are looking for, we've proven it hands down, year after year after year, we'll generate more leads. Just get you out of the way. Screen, there's 4 examples of ads that get you out of the way. They're not illegal. They're not unbranded, as you can see, but the branding is not sort of the theme of the ad. The typical real estate ad features a theme about the agent. I'm the greatest. I'm number 1. I have more listings than anybody else. I'm the area specialist. I have every award known to the industry, blah, blah, blah. Okay, get rid of all that stuff. Move it away and run the marketing the way Craig and the coaching team are teaching you to do. So here's 4 examples. 2 editorial ads and 2 classifieds or displays, depending on where you run them in the paper. And you'll see here that all we're trying to do is entice the prospect to get the information they want, by, in this case, calling into the hotline, or if you're using a domain name in your ad, logging into the domain name. But that's the type of marketing that we want you to do. Just drive the traffic to something easy to use, telephone, and less threatening, not all about the agent, and you'll find that leads come thick and fast.
So the whole purpose of running that ad, obviously, is to get the lead, right, Rick? And once you follow up with using the universal callback script, which we'll get into in a minute, and follow up and deliver that report, whatever report it may be, then at that point you can discuss who you are and what you are as a real estate agent and your services. Correct?
That's right. Well, there's a time and place for everything.
Right.
At this stage, with this type of marketing, this is not the time or place to start branding. Let's generate the lead first. Let's get the lead in-house. Let's get what they asked for sent, and then let's get on the phone with the prospect. And what's the introduction to the universal callback script? So, let's say it's a buyer lead. It's ring. Hey, Mike, it's Rick Brash with the Real Estate Pros. The reason for my call today is just to let you know that earlier we did receive your request for that list of foreclosures you were looking for in the Mississauga area. Just calling to let you know we've put that together. We've dropped it in today's mail. You should have that in the next day or two. And I was just wondering, are you thinking of making a move in the next couple of months? That's the introduction that we want to work with these prospects who are calling the hotline. And it's a nice, easy segue into the probing questions, because we've confirmed everything that's happened. We've let them know their request has been fulfilled. We've even given the prospect a sense as to when what they asked for will be arriving. Now we just want to get some information about the prospect and move forward. And all that starts here. We create the ad that's compelling to the market, that's relevant to local trends. We give a simple, non-threatening way for the prospect to take advantage of our offer, and then we follow up with the universal callback script.
Cool. Okay. Well, let's get into the branded USP property tree now.
Okay. So if you're running a listings ad, so here's one of my listings ads. This was a double-page spread that I used to run in the Homes and Lands magazine here in my marketplace. And I don't know, there's about 20 listings in here you'll see. And every one of the listings contained access to my hotline and a 4-digit ID code. Now, I ran this same ad in 6 or 7 different magazines. Well, actually 5. 5 magazines and a newspaper. And so even if I ran the same inventory of listings in all the different magazines or locations, media channels, each particular media channel had its own set of 4-digit ID codes. So I could always track and see which one of my ads, which one of the magazines was performing the best. And when the leads came in and there was a 4-digit code pressed, so here's an example, the 4-digit code for this house was 2348. In my office, we did all of our tracking duties on Friday morning, and Carol could quickly tell, because Carol did all of our tracking, she could quickly tell where this particular call came from. Because to Carol, it's just a screen. It's a screen full of calls, sometimes 4 and 5 screens thick, that she has to go through, and she just has to put all the tracking into our spreadsheet, which is the way we did it. And I could always see which magazine or which ad was doing the best. And using your tracking, Mike, I could also see how my scripts were performing. Because sometimes I had a script, and I could only get people to listen to the first 10 or 12 seconds of it. I had to figure out why. There's a word in there, there's something mumbling in there, whatever. So all this tracking that we were allowed to do, enabled us to really highlight and really move our listings quickly and get lots of leads. This was my format for a listing. Very emotional, not very much information on the property. I didn't talk square footage, never gave the address, et cetera, et cetera. I just wanted people to call in and ask me for more. And called in, I simply offered to give them a fully loaded, full color feature sheet with all the details, including address, price, description, et cetera. And that was our most common request for listings. But who's calling? I wasn't so much concerned about what they asked for because I made the same offer on all my listings. I just wanted the request. Once I get the request, now I've got a buyer who's looking to buy, in this case, in this particular community of Cranston. Because it's clear where the house is. It's clear how much it costs. There's an emotional description to the property, and then the ability to get more information. Well, 6, 7, 8 times out of 10, that's a buyer who's looking for information on that house or in that neighborhood. And I just had to use the universal callback script and just generate a face-to-face appointment with yet another buyer, and we go out and get them sold. So I also had this sign, Mike, which rode around in the back of everybody's car. Everybody on my team had one of these. And as soon as we put a house into a listing contract, before the sign went up, before the house hit the MLS, that was the big, ugly yellow sign that we put on the front lawn. Or in the winter, we would dig a hole in the snow and we'd drop it in. But it's really ugly. And it was really ugly on purpose because it grabbed your attention when you drove by. And you could see what it said. The house was just listed. The prospect was encouraged to call in with their cell phone and just get some information on the property. And when they called in on this particular sign, actually no information about the house. The script for all of our just listeds was, this home has just been listed. It hasn't hit the MLS yet. If you'd like to see it before any other hot new buyers or any other buyers, or if you'd like a hot list of properties for sale in this neighborhood, leave a message when you hear the tone. So we got tons of calls off of our just listed sign, and probably because it's really ugly. It's yellow. It practically glowed in the dark, but it drew the attention of people driving by. And quite a few times we double-ended a house from our just listed sign because we made information available very quickly. So the point of all this, Mike, that Craig taught me was to get as many people calling my hotline as possible. That's really all that I wanted. I just wanted people to call because the scripting did a good job. It replicated what somebody in my office would say or what I would say if I got them on the phone. And if everybody could just do that and generate leads, you would have no problem getting your business to the next level because you'll generate leads, you'll gain strength with the universal callback script, you'll get in front of more people, and there's an old saying, when you have more clients, you sell more houses. And it's true, Mike. All we want to do is generate leads, get more clients, and sell more houses.
I know some agents, Rick, and I know it's the improper thing to do, is putting some of them on sign riders, which really don't face the street. Could you kind of add on that?
So that's what we did. We experimented with putting our hotline out there on the lawn for people to call on a Saturday or a Sunday when they're out cruising the neighborhood. And at first I had it just hanging below my for sale sign, swinging in the wind with my for sale sign. But in about 80% of the cases, the for sale sign faces up and down the street. Okay, you got to think this through. The prospect pulls up in front of the house and they stop and they're looking at the edge of my for sale sign. So we weren't getting a lot of calls into our hotline. So then I had this idea, well, I'll take the hotline off of the for sale sign, I'll flip it so it faces the street, and we'll stand a secondary sign. Now, the secondary sign that Craig was using, that he taught me to use, was the talking house sign. And that was the piece of technology you dropped inside the front door of the house. You spoke a script into this little radio transmitter, and when people pulled up, they dialed in the transmitter frequency on the radio, and they listened to a script. So that's the control piece that all of us want to start with. But I don't know, I had this hotline, and I thought, well, why not just get people to call my hotline? And for me personally, that was the bomb. So we started to stand our for sale sign, and then we started to stand our hotline sign. And like I say, the for sale sign faced up and down the street. The hotline sign faced the street, so people would stop. They'd see my for sale sign. They'd see my hotline sign, which offered more information on this recently listed home. And boom, we would get tons of leads from people sitting in their car. And sometimes we'd get a zero out from people that just wanted to see the house today. So it worked really well to get calls into the hotline, which really was my goal.
Cool. Okay, let's get into question number 3, which is all about the marketing scripts. What are the key elements everyone should be paying attention to when it comes to creating marketing scripts? And scripting is huge. I know you're a big advocate of scripting and the testing and tonality of scripting. For everyone that doesn't know, all the scripts are all preloaded and done for you, both on the information line and the USB property tree. So they're proven, they've been tested. Rick, if you can go to the next screen. They're already assigned the actual 4-digit ID. Those are the IDs that you use to put in your ad. So you're taking your number, you put in the 4-digit ID, which is already assigned both on the information and information line, both the classified and editorial. And as you can see on the USP property tree, there is 9 USP scripts that are in there. You choose the 1 or 2 that you're going to be targeting in your marketplace. And same goes for the information line. If you need more scripts, which a lot of you may do for tracking for different purposes, they're just copied over with a different ID, so you know where everything is coming from. So again, everything's preloaded, done for you. The only thing that needs to get done, obviously, is on your property, is to get property scripts recorded, and they will be different all the time. Now, you can either record it, or AMS can help you record it. Rick, why don't you talk about the property scripts and what they should be doing as far as the tonality and what to say, not to say, so they get the best track. The whole goal is to get someone to do something, and whether it's dial 0 to go directly to the agent or to the office, or leave a message, and we'll get into that on the mobile part of it. But just kind of share with us like what you've tested over the years. I know you use Carol a lot in measuring and testing the effectiveness of scripting.
Well, so there's a couple of things. The first thing we want to remember is every script we're looking at here in the library features one common denominator. And this is really important. If you're making notes today, write this down. Every pre-recorded script that we're showing you here that you get with the system is an offer. We're making an offer to a prospect every time they listen to a script. So knowing that, when you list a property and you sit down to quickly create a listing script, don't get hung up on the idea that you have to describe this house in fine detail to make it attractive to the prospect. That's couldn't be further from the way to do it. That's actually wrong. You want to create a wanting in the prospect's mind to get more information. So what I mean by that is we create a script that's so compelling with what few features you talk about that the prospect naturally says, oh, this house sounds beautiful. Could you please send me more information about it? Okay, that's what we want to do with our property scripts. Don't make them too long. Don't lay out the whole laundry list of features, because as we learned at the super conference, the more features in a script, the more chance we have of eliminating the prospect from becoming a lead. It's not about the house. The house is simply a catalyst in our efforts to generate the lead from the prospect. In the case of a listing, the lead comes as the prospect asks for more information. And in this case, the more information is the feature sheet we make available on the property. We can also give them the option to press 0 to be connected to our office to find out the current listing price of this property. You can also tell the prospect to book a showing immediately, to see this home immediately. Please leave a message or press 0. Because the other thing we want to do when people are calling on our properties is talk to them. If I can eliminate me having to make the call and have the prospect press 0 and be connected to me or somebody in my organization who's as capable as I am of creating that face-to-face meeting, if timing and motivation makes sense, then I'm going to do that. So I'm going to compel the person calling and listening to press 0 at any time so they can get more up-to-date information. And that works really well. That's a very important part of the scripting that you don't want to eliminate. And that generally gets us in a phone-to-phone conversation with a really high-quality lead. Somebody who's seen your house for sale, they've seen an ad in the magazine, they've seen a for sale sign in the neighborhood, they're looking in that neighborhood, they like the looks of your ad or the house as they drive by, and they call for more information, they hit 0, and that person is now on the phone with me talking about buying a home, either in that neighborhood or a home just like that one or something. Really high quality caliber of a lead that I don't want to eliminate in any way, shape, or form. So scripting, very important. You've got lots of script examples in your super conference binder. We gave you those. There's scripts on the coaching website that you can access for sure. But you just want to bear in mind a couple of things. Be sure to make an offer. That's the most important thing.
And Rick, it kind of ties us into the next question, because how we determined the scripting was the enhanced reporting that we have kind of in the back end of our hotline.
Right.
We have a number of different reports that tracks all this, and I'll just send you right now. The website that you need to go back if you haven't, I just sent it, is www.trackmyqlleads.com. It's in the right side of the chat session, and we have a number of reports that really help you identify, good scripts, bad scripts. We're, a lot of different things is detailed in summary reports in that reporting. You'll be able to track all kinds of things. Where calls are coming from the sign calls, flyers, newspaper ads, online classified postcards, which media is better for different price ranges, which days of the week generate more calls, which side of the pages is better. All these different things you can measure and track what's working, what's not working, so you can turn off the things that are not working and do more of the things that work. So reporting is huge. The tracking and reporting, you can create your own 4-digit IDs from the initial IDs that we set up. There's a shot of a sample report of a summary report of some calls and where they come from and the number. We're hooked up, we're integrated with the white pages, so we try to match as many calls as we can with names and addresses as well, that information we get. So the reporting is very, very important when you're trying to track the effectiveness of your marketing.
Yeah, I don't think we should minimize the reporting. So as I said, Craig taught me that if I wanted to really understand my return on a marketing investment, so it doesn't matter how much the ad costs, whether it's a classified 5-liner in the homes for sale section of my classified section, whether it's an editorial ad or whether it's a listing in my Homes and Lands magazine ad or my real estate newspaper ad, I'm trying to understand what my return is on that particular investment. And tracking enables me to understand whether or not I should continue to make that investment, weekly, monthly, whatever, because it lets me see how effective the marketing really is. So it's not unusual for us to list a property and create what we think is an absolute killer script on a property. And we get the script out there. It might be on your sign after your just listed is pulled down. It's in the paper. It's everywhere. It's in your ads. But you go into your control panel, like we're looking at here on a Friday, to see how well it's performing. And there's a number of calls into the ad, but at the 12-second mark in your script, everybody's hanging up. And this is what we used to check. How long would people listen to my script? And I've got this common hang-up, for example, at 12 seconds. So I've got to go in there, I've got to look at my watch, I've got to listen, and I've got to see what happens at the 12-second mark. It's little things like that that enable us to get better at using this technology. And I'm not suggesting we have to do this all the time, because you'll gain a good working skill set with the hotline. You'll understand what to say and, more importantly, what I shouldn't say in a script. You'll experiment with voices in your organization. Everybody that came to work with me over the years had to sit down and record this sample script that I had created, because we were always looking for the voice. And it turned out that my wife Carol, who was also our office manager, turned out she had the voice that generated us the most leads. But we didn't know this until we went through all these different voices. Carol has a sort of a DI personality, and she can dial it up when she needs to. It worked out really well. The female voice is the best. Craig proved this as well. The female voice sounds less threatening, and is probably a little bit softer to listen to, but she's got to have an amount of D in the voice so she can get through the script in a positive way, and then tell the prospect what to do at the end. And you're going to test people. You'll just continue to test different voices, different scripts, and you'll gain some skill at creating a script. And these days, Mike, I think scripts need to be shorter because people seem to be in a rush. But you'll create a 60 or a 70-second script about your property, and next thing you know, you'll get it out there, and people will be asking you for more information. And then when you sit down and you go into your reports, you're going to see how well your scripts are working. So it's all there. You just got to take advantage of these tools.
And Ricky, just to add, it works very well in the USP property tree as well, where we call it a tree because it branches. So, a lot of times we educate the users to, little about the property and integrate the USP service that you're promoting in the property. And with the reporting on the USP property, you can actually see if they branch out of the property and where they go and how long they listen to your USP script, which is a single digit. So they can dial a single digit in the 4-digit property while they're listening to the property. And all that you can see all that experience of the prospect right in the reporting of what they're really interested in listening to. So if it's not the property, then it could be your guarantee home sale. Right. As well, and all the reports will show you that. It'll show you what the prospect's really interested.
Yeah, the report shows absolutely everything everything the prospect did when they called that number. Yeah. What they listened to, what they keyed in, everything. It's all there for you. You just have to access the LMS, and you can see exactly what's going on.
And that was important when Craig and I built this. It's just trying to identify and improve what the thought process was of the prospect, buyer or seller, and that's why we had to create these tools to generate that. And it's direct response marketing, right? I wouldn't run an ad unless you could track and measure the effectiveness of what you're spending. Right. And this is a great tool to use to do that. Okay. So conversion, Rick, which is our fifth question, and we'll get into actually what we're going to do after this question is going to talk a little bit about our grade A lead and our enhanced mobile component tied into the tree in a few seconds, and then we'll get into the questions at the end. Let's talk about conversion and follow-up. Very important part of the system. Converting leads to appointments. Isn't that the goal, Rick? Sorry about that.
Well, let's face it, this falls in the marketing category. The reason we run marketing is to generate opportunity, to create leads. So let's make sure we're clear on that. We're not running the hotline to dispense information about the report offered or the property listed. That's not why we're doing this. We use the report and the listing as a catalyst to generate the lead. The lead comes in the request of a request for the report or a request for something about the listing. That's lead gen. That's what we want to do. So that happens over and over and over again. Now we've got a lead flow, a lead generation system. Your inbound prospecting is working if you've got this out there in your marketing or on your for sale site. So now what? What do we do with these prospects? Well, this is where we learn to convert them. This is where we learn to work with the universal callback script so we can get these prospects into a conversation, determine timing and motivation, and then act accordingly. Depending on their timing, we would request or we would do our best to create a face-to-face meeting with them, as quickly as possible. And you're going to get people that are not now buyers and not now sellers. But the marketing and the call to action and the offer working together have created an opportunity for you to find out what this prospect is doing. You might get a seller ask you for the report on the 11 inspection traps to avoid. They might ask for that 6 or 7 months before they're actually thinking about selling. Not unusual. But I want that request. Whenever I can get it, I want it, because now I can begin the process of following up and talking to people and working with people. And it's very, very important that we have this working day in and day out. So whenever I come to work in the morning, I've got fresh leads in my inbox that I can call today. And I use the universal callback script. Very important you learn that. You know, if you've been with us on the Thursday Role Play Clinic, if your coach is telling you, if Craig is telling you, there must be a reason that we're telling you to learn the universal callback script. Learn that thing. Learn it inside, outside, upside down. Learn that thing so that you can have a conversation with a prospect using it as the basis for your conversation. Learn the 4 different offers on that script. Very, very important. Because when you understand the offers that work in conjunction with the marketing, the questions to get there, you'll find that relatively easy. So the lead is generated, you send the lead what they asked for, and you follow up with a phone call, and you let the universal callback script be the guide or the basis for that conversation. Very, very important.
And the timing, Rick, of calling this lead back as soon as possible is very important. And I believe you have an MIT study on this.
Yeah, look at the study. You get back to them in 5 minutes and look at the opportunities you create for talking to the prospect versus if you let them age. Look at 10 minutes. If you let them age more than 5 minutes, the chances of us getting them on the phone, they decrease drastically. So this is why we want you to get back to those leads as quickly as possible. This is why we want to get as many zero outs from our hotline as we possibly can, because now we're talking to a prospect. That meaningful conversation that enables us to determine timing and motivation is taking place right now, and that's what you want to do.
And Rick, that takes us to the next stream where, you know, our first goal is to generate the grade A lead. We talked about the grade A lead and the inbound prospect, and we're trying to generate meaningful conversations, timely conversations to get them to call you. Isn't that why we spend all our money advertising to generate those leads? We're not saying not to follow up on leads that leave messages or leave emails, but our goal with the USP property tree and for properties is to get someone, you know, buyer or seller. And then Rick has put up a scenario here, I guess a buyer in front of a listing. Rick, why don't you take us through that, and then what we'll do, we'll just show the experience of what the actual prospect sees when they're driving by in front of a home on their smartphone, and the 3 type of ways now that they could, you know, get the lead to the agent either through a message, dial 0, or the third way, which we'll get into in a second. Go ahead.
Okay, so it's a fairly common occurrence. You list a home, there's a listing on the left-hand side, and you've either run an ad or you've got a for sale sign swinging in the wind in front of that property. The prospect approaches the ad or approaches the listing and is interested. Whatever you've written, whatever they see in terms of curb appeal is interesting, and we've given them a means to get that interest nurtured. Okay? We've put the hotline and a script in the ad. We've maybe got a sign, a secondary sign or a sign rider out front of the listing, which allows them to call, listen to a pre-recorded information package about the property. Everything is in our favor. Everything is in our wheelhouse now to generate a lead. So they call, and they like what they hear. They either press 0, or they simply leave a message at the end where they can request the feature sheet on the property, or request a showing, or simply request more information. One of the offers I also make on my listings is a list of all the homes for sale in this particular subdivision. Whatever they do, the lead gets generated, because everything we've done here has a very compelling nature. Now, in the example of the prospect who calls with a smartphone, And you all know these days what a smartphone is. That's like your
Probably
iPhone.
100%.
Yeah, almost everybody carries a smartphone these days. Although I did see a couple of people at the super conference had flip phones. But if you've got a smartphone, when they call into the hotline system with a smartphone, the hotline system recognizes that it is in fact a smartphone capable of taking emails and texts. Okay? So here's what we want to happen. I want the 0. First and foremost, I want the 0 out because I really want to just get into a conversation with this prospect and talk about the property for sale. But if they don't 0 out and they leave a message, I want a second opportunity for these people to become leads. So what happens is, not only do I get a message on my phone that somebody called, the prospect gets a text back. Okay, now what we're looking at on the right, that's the prospect's screen. Now this particular screen is an iPhone, but it doesn't matter. It can be a Samsung, it can be an LG, a Sony, doesn't matter. It's a smartphone. It all works the same way. They get this text back. As soon as they kick in the 4-digit code, the text comes back to their phone. And as I said at the super conference, if you look in the text back, there is a link in the text. And it's clickable. So the common thing that happens is the prospect hovers their thumb over the link, they click it, and it takes them to a landing page. Any landing page that you want to program in there is where it will take them. Here's a couple of examples of the landing pages that Mike has available. They use whiteboard video. They use the headshot video of the agent. The point here is we get a second opportunity to work with this prospect because, look, we've sent them a text to their phone. So just think about it. They didn't leave a message. They drove down the street. They now go back to their phone, and there's an opportunity for us to possibly generate the lead yet again from a very simple solution, which is getting them onto a landing page. And the landing page just carries a very similar offer. If you're looking for homes for sale, tell us what you're looking for. We'll send you a list or whatever you decide to use on that page. So this is pretty cool. This is the new enhancement that's available with the USP property tree at AMS. And Mike, you have some basic landing pages built that are very effective. They're very good at generating leads. There's 4 buyer campaigns. There's 4 seller campaigns. They work really well. I've used these for years and years. It's worked really well. So that's the new enhancements to the USP property tree that any prospect can take advantage of by simply calling your hotline with a smartphone and kicking in a 4-digit code. It's awesome. It's absolutely awesome.
And even using that feature, Rick, a lot of our agents are using that run Craigslist free classified ads. Now that the rules have changed just over about a year ago now, where you can't put a URL or www address in the ad, but you can put a phone number.
Right.
So they're using our phone number to get them online back online. So they're using that number.
Yeah, there's a bonus.
Go ahead.
That's a bonus opportunity. So let's say you'd like to go back and use Craigslist again. We talked about this at the super conference. And you're bemoaning the fact that Craigslist no longer allows us to put domain names in our ads.
Yeah.
So look, you put your hotline in the ad. And the prospect calls your hotline. The minute they kick in the 4-digit code that's in your ad, guess where they are? They're on the landing page that you would have included in the ad anyway. Yeah. So this is awesome.
Perfect.
This is absolutely awesome.
So there's a demo line phone number. I don't suggest you call right now. We're just going to take a few questions and wrap this up. But if you call 800 after this call, 1-800-878-9556, you'll listen to the introduction script. If you punch in 1604, which is a 4-digit ID, it just shows you a sample property. You'll experience what we just went through in regards to what the prospect will see if they're outside your listing. So, Rick, let's take some. Actually, before we get into questions, if you can pull back, if you go back to a lot for the people that didn't get a chance to sign up for a trial. At any of the 2 conferences, there's still a second chance. You could go to automatedmarketingsolutions.com/last chance, and there's a dash before or between last and chance, and I don't know why they make it so difficult, but last chance offer. Or you can, better just call our 800 number, 800-458-1899. We'll be more than happy to help you out. A lot of this technology, we bundled it all in the package, the mobile enhanced. We included it in option 2. I won't go through that with you, but if you do go to that page, you'll see a page where at the bottom there's a link that takes you right to the opportunity. So we're going to be sending another email out as well, and for another week. So you'll have that opportunity to take advantage of that offer we offered at the Quake Proctor conference, both in Fort Lauderdale and in Anaheim. So why don't we get to some questions, Rick? Let me just see here. Let me just pull a few up here. Let's see. Okay, we had. Okay, they were talking about your volume. I know there a couple of people are having a hard time hearing you. Okay, does the zero out mean the AMS system calls my designated phone or phone number? Yes, I think we went through that. Any number that you determine can be programmed in that would take that lead call, whether it's yourself or an ISA. That dial 0 for any specific property ID can be designated to a phone number as well. Let me just see here, Rick. Rick, with the HDX option in Success, is that an automatic feed for MLS listings directly emailed to the client, or will I have to send out each request for each lead requesting the info? That's from John.
Not sure. I think what happens with the HDX, if you send a prospect there with the promise of getting something specific, then that search, that specific group of listings has already been programmed in on your HDX. So there it is when the prospect gets there. That's how I believe that works. I never used HDX myself. I never used it. We just fulfilled all those requests from the office. If I run an ad for something specific, I had that search running in my MLS, so I always had inventory to fulfill the request. But I think the HDX, you would create the list in the HDX, and then you'd advertise around it.
Harry's asked, where do you get the signs, like the signs that you made, for the property?
Well, I just used my local sign maker. He was the cheapest. I think we all have a sign maker. Where do you get your for sale signs? So I just used my local guy, and he did them for me.
Okay, I'm just looking through. Okay, I have another question. I think we answered it. Should I put the price of the home and the address in my listing script?
Well, that's one of those things you test. Remember, the purpose of the script is to generate a request for more. So the more you put in, the less requests you get. I experimented with putting the price in my ad, the mortgage payment in the ad, or no price, and I generated more calls when people could see the price of the property in my ads. And that was as a result of experimenting. So it's one of those things you'll test for local market conditions.
Okay, I have another one here. I don't have a website. Can I still use the hotline?
Yes. The two of them are not connected. You still can.
Yeah, with the hotline, it's very, very fast to get up and going for you. The minute you sign up, we instantly send you a message at your own unique number with all the scripts already preloaded, information how to get in, access. All you need to do is select your target market for buyers or sellers and take the number and the 4-digit ID that we've already assigned for that campaign, plug it into your ad, and away you go and wait for your lead. So very, very quick. The website takes a little bit more work to get set up and going, and you don't need to wait. Okay. See if there's any more here, Rick. Okay.
There's a question here from Barb. She's asking, where do we get the reports that we send out? Well, Barb, if you're using the coaching website, you go into the ad generator, and the reports are right there when you create your ad. So the example I used earlier, let's say you're running the editorial ad, the 11 inspection traps to avoid before putting your home up for sale. You go into the ad generator, you choose that particular ad, you customize it, and when you create it, you also have the ability to download the report right there. So it's from the ad generator.
Cool. And I don't see any more. I've covered most of these questions, Rick. I'm just looking to see if there's any we haven't covered. No, I think. Now Amy has left us. She's had to attend another call. We did say that we were at the conference in Anaheim that we were going to draw for an iPad Mini, and anyone that came on this call, we already selected that winner. Amy did at the beginning of the call. We'll announce that any minute here. Do you want to talk about the conferences coming up, Rick, before we call it a day?
Well, there's an event coming up in June in Orlando. I hope everybody's planning on coming. We have an event in Toronto in August, and then we'll be back with a super conference in October in Anaheim. And we're looking forward to those. Busy year for super conferences this year, but yeah, we're always looking forward to seeing you and having a good time. So yeah, get them planned, get them in your day timer, get them scheduled, and we'll look forward to seeing you all there.
Rick, if you can flip that screen back so they have the information of where to go to see those the conference, and right there, perfect. So there you go. So again, just to repeat, if you want to take advantage of our offer we made at the Craig Proctor conferences, just go to that link, or you can call our 800 number, 1-800-458-1899, and there is a link to go to get more information about Craig's up-and-coming conferences in Florida, Toronto, and Anaheim, I believe in October. Is that right, October?
Yep, that's right. October is Anaheim.
And there's an email address there too, Rick. Holy cow.
Well, you know, for those of you that are now in our coaching group or our platinum group, remember, you don't come and spend your super conference experience in the main room with Craig and I, although we certainly welcome you to come in and maybe take a refresher on something that was great that you missed. You'll be spending your time now in the breakout sessions with our platinum group and our advanced members. So you're not coming back to the same event that you came to initially. For those of you who are coming back now to your second one, whether it be in Toronto or Orlando or back in Anaheim, you're not coming back to the same event. I just want to be clear on that. I get a lot of emails from people, is there a benefit in me coming again? Well, there is. Absolutely there is. But know this, if you're one of our coaching members and you're one of our new coaching members, you'll be in a completely separate group of sessions than what you were at in Anaheim or Fort Lauderdale so far this year.
Cool, Rick. Okay, the last thing we're going to do, we did draw a winner for the possible for the iPad winners, and Amy selected that before she left. And drum roll, please, Rick. The winner is Sally Link. I know Sally's on the call, or was on the call. Yeah, she's on the call. So Sally, we'll get back to you. One of the girls will get back to you on how to get that prize. Congratulations to you. And Rick, thank you very much. We're like 10 minutes over here. Thank you very much for taking the time out and helping us with the training call today. Really appreciate it. And thank you, all the people that have attended, for joining us. Anyone that wants to, who just started on the hotline on both conferences, we do have another call tomorrow, every Tuesday, every week, live training at 2 p.m. Eastern. There should be emails sent to you, and that training is basically get started, shows you a little bit on the back end of the hotline, how to find your scripts and put in your notification process. It just takes you through that part, and any questions on that end of it. Today's call was more about making money on the hotlines, and Rick, thank you very much again, and thanks everyone for showing up, and happy marketing to everyone, and all the best.
Thanks, Mike. Talk to everyone later.
Bye now.